So last class we had started the 5th chapter, which is titled Sannyasa Yoga. So we had seen the first two verses. The first verse was Arjuna Uvacha, we'll just read it. Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punaryogam cha shamsasi yachreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. So here Arjuna is trying to get a confirmation from Krishna which is better, whether karma yoga is better or sannyasa yoga is better. So basically he is asking, which is your preference between grahastha ashrama and sannyasa ashrama? Because he wants Krishna to give him definitely one of these two as his choice, so that if Krishna says sannyasa is better, then he can immediately drop all his duties and run away and become a sannyasi. So he was hoping Krishna would say sannyasa is better. But let us see what Krishna says in the first verse. The reply, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sannyasa Karma Yogascha Nihashreya Saka Karavubhau Tathostu Karma Sannyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. So Krishna tells him, between sannyasa and karma yoga or grihastha ashrama, karma yoga is better than sannyasa yoga. So now here there will be a lot of confusion for all people who generally want to. Suppose you are very clear you want moksha. What will you do? Should you take to sannyasa or should you continue with your present situation, which is grihastha ashrama? So Krishna continues further. We will read the third verse. Shreya sa nitya sannyasi yo nadveshti na kankshati nirdvando hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. So the person who neither hates nor longs should always be known as a renunciate. One who is free from likes and dislikes is indeed effortlessly released from bondage. Now, if somebody, like all of us, among all of us, or like say all of us are grihasthas and there are maximum number of grihasthas only, there are very few sannyasis. So once you are convinced that moksha is the goal, okay, now I am sure I want to gain moksha. What is the way I should go about it? If you ask. So the only way to gain moksha is through knowledge. So there is no other way. Nothing else will give you moksha other than knowledge. So there is no substitute for jnana yoga. So you should gain knowledge. Now suppose you say, let us take the example of even our regular courses, the tough ones like a chartered accountant course or IAS. If somebody says, I want to become a collector, I want to join the civil services. So what is to be done? You have to pass the exams. Now, how to pass the exams is you have to study. Now here, study, you have options. Either you can study on your own or you can join an institute which teaches. And for that, you can do it in two ways. Either you can fully devote your time to that, or somebody says, no, I can't afford to do that, so I will work I have a family, I will support my family also, I will work, but still I want to pursue this course, I want to become a IAS officer. So both of them can follow. Now, which is easier? If you take the first option, where you completely devote your time only for study for the course, you will feel yes, that is a better option, because your entire time is available for study. The other person, he has to take care of his day to day. If he is working, he has to attend his work, then he has to find time to study and then appear for the exam. So definitely that is tougher. But is there any guarantee that the person who devotes his entire time only for studies gets through? There are many people who have attempted, who have given up everything just to pass, and then after years they find themselves nowhere. They are neither qualified for anything else, nor they are qualified for what they opted for. But the other person, it is difficult, but there are many people who have followed that and passed the exams. So similarly, sannyasa alone is not going to give you moksha. Then everybody can become a sannyasi and gain moksha. All you have to do is go change your dress, wear orange robes, ochre robes, and then say, okay, now I am free, I have gained moksha. Does it happen that way? Then every sannyasi will be a jnani. So the goal is moksha, but there are two ways to reach that. To prepare your mind, rather than jnana yoga, both sannyasi and grihastha have to study. There is no option. But your lifestyle can be different. For a sannyasi, the lifestyle is you are devoted entirely to studies. For a grihastha, he has to take care of his day-to-day things. If he is working, he has to work. If he's got a family, he has got to support them. And he also has to study. But will study alone give you moksha? Study will give you moksha, definitely. But unless your mind is prepared, that study will not bear fruit. So you have to prepare yourself. So both these ashramas, the mind has to be ready. So here he talks about a nitya sannyasi. Now who is a nitya sannyasi? One who is always in the state of, eternal state of sannyasi. Now what is that state? Where you are not bothered about the pairs of opposites, whether it is good, bad, your likes and dislikes. So any heat, cold, you can name any number of pairs of opposites. So one who has overcome these pairs of opposites, he is a nitya sannyasi. Of course, nitya sannyasi, that state we all may go through temporarily at some time. So when you are very happy, for some time you are not bothered about anything else. For some reason you gain some happiness by doing something, or even when you have a good meal. So after that you are a sannyasi. You enjoyed a good meal, you relax for some time, you don't bother what is happening. But once that food is digested, that feeling goes. Even in meditation, if you take. So when you are meditating, you feel you don't need anything else in life. You are in a deep state of meditation. You enjoy that state. Nothing bothers you. Good, bad, heat, cold, nothing bothers you. You are in that state, you enjoy that state. But When you come out of it, again you are back to your normal this thing. So Nitya Sannyasi is one who has conquered the pairs of opposites, you can say. And it is not by forcibly giving up things. We should grow out of things. Like for example, in our younger days, we might have been attached to things like a balloon or a toy or playing marbles. You will not say at any time, now I have stopped playing marbles, I have given up playing marbles, or I have given up playing with toys. You just outgrow that. You don't have to say. You don't feel the urge to play with marbles or play with dolls or toys. You just outgrow that state. So, but if you have given up something forcibly, I have given up, like people say, I have given up smoking or I have given up drinking, but that urge will always be there. So moment you get a chance, again you go back. So you should outgrow. Even for example, when we watched films, personally I can say there's a time I used to watch maybe 3 to 4 films in a week. So we are always looking forward to new releases. So college we used to watch movie, go to theaters outside. So that urge was there. Now I don't have the urge to go and see a movie unless somebody says it is very good. Okay, it's not wrong, but I don't have that urge to go and so I have grown out of that. So you outgrow your desires. You don't give up forcibly, because forcible giving up will lead to further mind will be more always be disturbed. You will not be a Nitya Sannyasi. So Nitya Sannyasi is a state. So that is why it talks about a Nitya Sannyasi. He neither hates nor loves anything. It is not that, oh, I don't like this at all. And always that longing, if I come across this, I don't like it. So you get disturbed. Same thing, I like something. So always we are dictated by our likes and dislikes. The more we are dictated by our likes and dislikes, our mind will not be ready for knowledge. So whether you are a sannyasi or whether you are a grihastha, if you are able to conquer your likes and dislikes, you will be able to become a sannyasi. So the state of mind, sannyas is a state of mind. It is nothing to do with the dress. A person wearing an ochre dress may have not been prepared mentally to get into that state. So some people, out of frustration, out of some other reason, they are forced to, they force themselves to take sannyas, which leads to disaster, because taking sannyas alone is not going to give moksha. So that we need to be very clear. But if you are mentally prepared, then you can take moksha. You can take sannyasa. Because it is not easy to be a sannyasi. So you have to, for a grihastha, he doesn't have to worry about his day-to-day things. His food, his clothes, his other requirements can be met. But for a sannyasi, he has to depend on others. He has to take bhiksha to fill his stomach, so to say. You need to lead a very disciplined life. You need to devote yourself completely without being a sannyasi. Cannot say I like this or I don't like this. Then again you are worse than a grihastha. At least grihastha, there is no other, he doesn't have to change anything. But sannyasi cannot reverse his sannyasa. physically, even if he changes his clothes, because sannyasa requires some kind of preparation and some kind of a ritual where you absolve yourself of all many duties. So having gone through all that, you cannot reverse. Like people, especially in cricket we have seen, there are some people who announce their retirement and after a few months they say, no, I am coming back. So that means they were not mental, they retired out of frustration. But when you retire, you say, okay, I have had enough with this game, I have got whatever I need to do from this, and I don't look forward to anything from that. And that is the time you say, I am retiring, and it is for good. You don't go back and again say, no, after a few months, no, I am reversing my decision. That means your first decision was not correct. So similarly, sannyasa also the same. In fact, in Hindi, if you see, suppose some famous cricketer like Tendulkar takes retirement, they'll say, Tendulkar ne sannyas le liya. Cricket says sannyas le liya. So this word sannyas is used there also. So sannyasa means you give up certain things, but you have to give it up purely out of fulfillment. I don't need this anymore. I am completely, without this I can manage. I have conquered my likes and dislikes. So if you are in that kind of state, definitely you are ready for sannyasa. And it depends on so many other factors also, like your prarabdha karma. In fact, when different mutts, they have to choose a matadipati. So they look at various candidates and they also look at, I believe, their horoscope. Because if the horoscope says that person has a sannyasa yoga, it is better. Because the horoscope gives an idea of what kind of person, what kind of future that person is going to have. Because they say if you don't have sannyasa yoga and then somebody is taken as a matadipati, then it will not be proper. That person may not follow the traditions after some time. So he may not stick to that. So that is why they take so much of, now you must have seen so many mutts. Kanchi mutt, recently they took a new pontiff versus the present one. So like this, but they go through a big process. So sannyasa calls for a lot of preparation. So you have to be very clear about your goal and you should be very disciplined to follow whatever is required for that. So study is basically you're devoting, you take sannyasa to devote your entire time only for studies, which will lead to moksha. Now grihastha ashrama also you can do that. You can continue with your regular duties, and it also gives you more chance to polish your likes and dislikes, unlike a sannyasi. Sannyasi doesn't do any action basically. So his chances are limited. But for a grahastha, every day we are doing action, and that gives us to chance to polish our likes and dislikes. So if we are very clear about the goal, we use this opportunity to polish our likes and dislikes. So we come across, so basically it is calling for two things. One is Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. That is, you perform any action as a service to God. So whatever action, you do it as a service to the Lord, and Prasada Buddhi. And whatever results come out of those actions, you take it as Prasadam. So if you continue to be in Grahastha Ashrama, but you are able to manage your likes and dislikes and devote some time for studies regularly, it is better as per Krishna to follow that, because you cannot suddenly drop your action and say I am taking sannyasa, which was the case, which was what Arjuna wanted to do, because he wanted to give up all his duties and run away. Now running away is not a solution. You are not going to become better by running away from a situation. You have to face the situation, and facing the situation you gain mastery over the situation. So over a period of time, by polishing your likes and dislikes, you gain that maturity, the mental state where the knowledge, once it comes, it sits firmly. So gaining that maturity is very important. So a person who has conquered his likes, and because everything is based on our likes and dislikes. So the more we are able to conquer those likes and dislikes by polishing them, not by running away from them. So even when it comes to, suppose we like, somebody likes coffee, so there's nothing wrong in taking coffee. But if somebody says without coffee my day will not be good, one day I don't get coffee, I lose my cool, I shout at everybody because I did not get my coffee, then there is a problem. So having coffee is not a problem. Having likes and dislikes is not a problem. But if you allow them to rule your mind, that is where the problem is. So it is not that likes and dislikes are creating the problem. Your attachment to them is what creates the problem, and for that you need to change your mindset. You need to tune your mind and do with Ishwararpana Buddhi and Prasada Buddhi. So these two are very important for everybody, even for a sannyasi. If you are already a sannyasi, then if you are already a jnani, then you are a sannyasi in any kind of ashrama, whether you are a grahastha or a sannyasi, doesn't matter. You are a nitya sannyasi. So such a person is easily released from bondage. So he doesn't have to worry about which ashrama he is. So basically here Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna, one should take to continue with whatever ashrama we are presently in. Do your duties, but don't get swayed by your likes and dislikes. Polish your likes and dislikes over a period of time. So it's a process. You cannot change. You look at yourself and see what all the things which are very strong likes and dislikes. You gradually polish them, make them lesser, and at one point you will feel, okay, whether I have it or not, it doesn't matter to me. So you have more chance to do that as a grahastha, because you get more opportunities to do action. So this is what this verse is trying to convey. So let us move on to the next verse, verse number 4. Sankhya yogo prithak balah pravadanti na panditah ekam apyasthita samyog bhayor vindate phalam. So he says bala, children. Bala literally means children, but here we should read it as people who don't know. People who don't know argue that knowledge and karma yoga are different. The person who follows even one of those gains the result of both. So this is what Krishna is conveying. So basically, whether you follow sannyasa or whether you follow grihastha, you cannot say this is superior or that is inferior. Only people who are like children, who don't know, they think one is superior to the other, this is better than the other. Of course, something may be better, but it may not be superior. So between these two, it depends totally on our mindset, our situation. You choose a lifestyle. So you should be aware of the plus and minus of both lifestyles. So either lifestyle will lead you to moksha. There is no doubt about it. So it is not that this is better, only through this you will get that. So that is a wrong notion which some unwise people they may have knowledge, but they may not be able to interpret it in the right way. So without understanding the plus and minus of each ashrama, you cannot decide which is better. But in general, like Krishna said in the second verse itself, he feels grihastha ashrama is more suited because the majority of the people, it is applicable. So if we have to go to the other ashrama, we have to be very, very clear. We have to be, we need to be ready for all the things that come. If you are a sannyasi, the lifestyle you have to follow. There are a lot of restrictions when you become a sannyasi, which is not there for a grihastha. So grihastha ashrama is being given more important because if Krishna says sannyasa is the best and everybody decides to take sannyasa, then who will take care of the sannyasis? Everybody is a sannyasi. Who will give bhiksha? So there will be no people to give work and produce. There will be no farmers. Everybody will be a sannyasi and everybody will be begging from each other and nobody will get anything. So unless one is very clear about, first thing is we need to be clear about the goal. Moksha. Once you accept, I need moksha. Moksha is the only goal in my life. Then only the next step is how to gain that is through knowledge. There is no doubt. Here there is no choice. Should I get it through knowledge or should I get it through action or nothing else will give you moksha other than knowledge. So ajnanam can be only removed by jnanam. So only knowledge, jnanam will give you moksha. So there is no doubt. To pursue that knowledge, you need to qualify yourself. So how do you study? You can study full-time or part-time. Both are full-time studies for anything, even if you want to do, like I said, this IAS or something. If you want to do it full-time, you may have to sacrifice so many things. You have to be very disciplined with all your studies, and you should do whatever is required for that. But it does not guarantee that you will pass IAS. Otherwise, everybody will just start studying full time and become an IAS officer. Similarly, so it is easier comparatively to take care of your needs to follow a Grihastha ashrama. So here there are 4 ashramas basically. So Krishna is talking about only 2. So people may ask, what about Brahmacharya ashrama and Vanaprastha? So Brahmacharya is preparation for Grihastha ashrama. So it is part of it. So you don't have to talk about it separately. Similarly, Vanaprastha is preparation for sannyasa. So that also is part of sannyasa. So these 2 contain the other 2. So again and again he is emphasizing the importance of Grihastha ashrama. Later he may also talk about sannyasa ashrama. That is why they say, if you are if you want to study the Upanishads and other things, it is easier for a sannyasi. But Bhagavad Gita was written by a Grihastha, or Mahabharata was written by Vyasa, who was a Grihastha, told by a Grihastha, Krishna. So Grihasthas can teach and learn Bhagavad Gita, but if you want to learn the Upanishads, it is probably more appropriate for a sannyasi to do, because it calls for much more dedicated study. So this is what Krishna is trying to convey. More of it we will see from the next class.